Hello and welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. Glad to have you here. Today we're going to make some penne pasta, some Alfredo penne pasta with a homemade Alfredo sauce. Don't be afraid, it's very easy. And we're going to have it with salmon. It's going to be delicious. Okay, so first what we're going to do is season our salmon to get it ready to go in the oven. I've preheated the oven to 400 already, and so now I'm going to season my salmon up. I'm going to use garlic powder. If you watch any of my videos, you know I use garlic powder a lot. It's just so much flavor, right? With garlic powder. So I'm seasoning it with garlic powder. I have 5 nice sized pieces here, but it really would serve to probably 8 people. And then we're going to use some smoked paprika. And that's another one of my go-tos. I used to use regular paprika, but I've been using smoked paprika for everything lately. I like it a lot. You can use regular paprika. If you don't have smoked paprika in the house, you can use regular paprika, if that's what you have on hand. Then we're going to use some Old Bay seasoning. So I always use Old Bay on my salmon, no matter what I'm having it with. And some people don't, but I do. So we're gonna season it real nicely because you want that flavor to really get into the fish. Okay, the fish is at room temperature, so it has sat. I let it sit out for about an hour before I started seasoning. So let's see here. So just gonna make sure I get all my seasonings on here, let nothing go to waste. I placed some parchment paper on the sheet that I'm cooking the salmon on. You know, you can use that or foil, but I've been using parchment paper and it comes out nice too. So get our seasoning. This is another pretty fast dinner considering how good it's gonna be. It's, you know, if you come home from work and you start dinner shortly after you come home, dinner should be ready within an hour. I mean, completely ready. And that's not bad. So we've seasoned that up. Now we're going to add some butter. I'm real picky about my butter. I use grass-fed butter. That's all I ever use is grass-fed butter. So like Carrie's Gold or what have you, something like that. And I'm just gonna place a nice pat of butter on each piece. So if the piece is bigger, I'll place a little more. So this one's a bigger piece, so I'll put a piece. And right here, my hands are clean. I'm cooking for my family. And some more butter here. This is another bigger piece, so just some more, just to make sure that, you know, you get butter on everything. Okay, and then more here. We'll just put some on this side, a little more on this side. So just kind of sporadic, as long as you have butter on all your pieces. Okay, and I kind of smashing it a little bit because when you go to cook it, of course it starts melting, right? So I kind of smash it in a little bit, and then we're going to put it in the oven, a 400-degree oven, and we're going to put it in there. Fish does not take long to cook at all. A lot of people overcook salmon. It doesn't take long to cook salmon. So since I'm going to end up putting it in my pasta, on top of my pasta, I don't want to overcook it in the oven. So we're going to cook it, get a nice char going on, browning on the top, and then I'm going to remove it because I'm going to let it cook the rest of the way in the pasta. Okay? And it's just still won't be long at all. So now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven and get this going, and we'll start on the next part. Okay, now we're going to cut up our onions. And this is going to be the base for our Alfredo sauce that we're going to make. Well, I call it Alfredo sauce. I use it. This is how I make any sauce that I want to make. Creamy sauce for my pastas. This is how I make it. So you want to dice you want to cut your onions into small pieces. So we're going to do some slivers first because we want small pieces. Don't want it too big. So go into small pieces, cut up. And this is how it's kind of the easy way now. Instead of separating it, I just go ahead and cut it. And then we have small pieces. That's how I cut onions. It's not professional. It's just the way I cut them. And it works. So we'll go over here, cut this down. So I don't have to spend so much time. Said I was gonna get a food processor. But I don't know, I'm so used to just doing everything by hand. But I guess I'll love it if I try it. You know, I tell everybody to use the air fryer. I'm like, you gotta get an air fryer. It's a lifesaver. And I guess some people might say the same thing about a food processor to me. So maybe one day. Maybe one day. But they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and I'm just always doing something. This is what I've been doing forever, you know? So we'll see. So anyway, we're gonna get all this onion cut up pretty good here. This is a special dinner because it's my son's birthday. So we're having a little birthday dinner. So this is, he loves pasta, he loves salmon. So I said I make some creamy pasta with salmon for his birthday. So we're gonna have a really good meal tonight. And it won't take me too long. Pasta doesn't take long to cook, and fish doesn't take long to cook. So this is a pretty quick meal. Okay, so now my onions are ready for the pan that they have to go into as well. Okay, now we're over at our pan for our onions. Let's turn this on, get this going. We're gonna saute the onions to a little opaque, but not completely. So just soft, okay? Get that going that way. I have water boiling for my pasta. Let's get that pasta in there now. I'm using a 2-cup measuring cup here. And I'm going to measure out. That's 2, 4, and 5. 5 cups for this recipe. Okay. So our pasta, the pasta, you want to make it al dente. So we're going to, since I put the pasta in hot water, we're going to put it on for 7 minutes and see how it is. If it was cold water, it would be more like 10, 11 minutes. Okay. So while this is heating up here, I'm going to put some olive oil in here. Just for our onions, so we can get those going. Let's get this hot. Okay, the oil should be hot enough for our onions. We're gonna get that in there. See if we got a little. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Make sure you keep an eye on them. You don't want to burn your onions. We're not going for burnt. We're just going to saute them until they're just cooked down. This is the base of our creamy sauce that we're going to do. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, that smells so good already. So now, anybody who's been watching any of my videos, you know I like to layer flavors. I layer. I don't just dump it all in one place at one time. So I'm going to add a little bit of seasoning salt to the onions. Seasoned salt. I'm going to add, no surprise, some smoked paprika. Again, not a lot, just I'm layering flavors. Some more garlic. And we're just going to cook the onions like that for a minute. I'm going to keep that over here so that I can do that in the whole dish at the end. So, and I use a little olive oil to saute the onions. So, you know, you just want to make sure you have a nice little, it shouldn't be oily. It just, you know, just in the pan, not oily, just, you don't want it sitting in oil. So we're just sauteing that. And it probably takes just a couple minutes to cook down. I think this has already been like, I think 2 minutes. So we'll say 3 minutes to saute your onions down enough. It's almost time for our pasta to come off the stove. I'm going to check that in 2 minutes and see where we are. I'll show you how to check your pasta. You want to make your pasta al dente, which is not cooked all the way. It's still firm. Because if your pasta cooks completely, it can't absorb any moisture. So if you add a cream, it just sits on top of it. But if you cook it al dente, which is not finished cooking, and you put a sauce on it, it can absorb the sauce. So that's why you want to make your pasta al dente. Really, pretty much always, because most of the time you're adding a sauce, right? Spaghetti or whatever it is. So cook your pasta al dente, and there's one more minute on that pasta. So let me check that with a fork. Let's see here. It says 45 seconds left, but I think I'm going to cook it a little longer. It's a little too firm. It's like, it's too firm. I can't cut it at all. So you should be able to kind of cut it a little bit, but right now, see, it's not even cutting at all. So we're just going to let it cook for another couple of minutes. Just keep an eye on it. So I'm going to put another 3 minutes on that. See where it is. Our onions are sauteed nicely. That's about all you need for that. And now we're going to add our heavy whipping cream. You're going to get a, what is this? 32 ounces. And you're going to use the whole thing. Similar to what I do with my mac and cheese. I use the whole 32 ounce for a pan of mac and cheese. But we're making a nice big pot of pasta with salmon. So we want to make sure we have plenty of sauce, plenty of cream. So we're going to put that on here. And we're going to let that start to get hot. And we're going to season that too, okay? So let's get to seasoning that up. Again, some more seasoned salt. You're gonna need a lot of flavor. That was just heavy whipping cream. So you really need to add your flavors to bring it out. And some more paprika, smoked paprika. That's the one I prefer. If you can't get it, like I said, you can use regular paprika. But I think you'll enjoy the smoked if you can get it. And we're going to use a lot of garlic. And we're going to just mix it up a little bit. Just kind of mix those onions in and the seasonings that we just put in here. We're going to be adding a good amount of Parmesan cheese, fresh Parmesan cheese. We're going to grate that for this as well. So let's just, so now that's good. So that's on number 7 on an electric stove. So we're just going to let that start to get hot. gonna wait on that. Okay, one more minute. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn the heat off of our noodles, and I'm gonna set it aside for a second. So even though it's still in the water, so it'll cook just a little bit, but now it's just, by the time I get to this, it's gonna be perfect. Okay, so we're just gonna leave this here while we go get something else done. Okay, let's cut up our cherry tomatoes. So we're just gonna cut them in half. That's it. That's all we wanna do, is cut them in half. Don't chop them up. Try not to lose your seeds. Just don't smash it. Just cut them in half. And we're gonna toss these in the pasta, well, in the sauce toward the end, not right away. So this goes in, oh, I'm in the wrong spot. Put it over there. A little green on there. I try not to lose any of the seeds. That's okay though. Go right here. And we're gonna cut a nice. Now this is really, honestly, you don't have to put any in. If you don't like tomatoes, you don't have to use it. And if you like a lot, use more. If you don't like a lot, use less. This is really optional on how much you want to use, or if you want to use it at all. So I don't like to overdo it, but I definitely like to get enough in there so everybody can have some with, when you get a plate, you have some pieces on your plate. That's how I look at it, because I'm serving probably 5 of us will be eating, so I want to make sure everybody can get some. Then we have spinach right here. I'm gonna rinse this out real quick. Now, let's get this over here. Okay, here's our sliced cherry tomatoes. They're all cut in half and ready to go in, but we'll put them in later. Now I'm going to do some Parmesan cheese. We're going to do some fresh Parmesan cheese. My nephew's watching me right now. He said, would you put that thing down? You just too much with a knife. But I have some fresh Parmesan cheese we're going to be using, okay? So let me just grate some of that up real quick. I still have my, right now I have my sauce going. So I'm going to get back to the sauce as soon as I can, because I don't want that to bubble over at all. We're just warming it up nicely, and we're going to get our pasta together. This is almost done already. Pasta's fast, fish is fast. We just have a few layers to do, that's all. And I'm making a mess. That's okay too. So let's get that out of here. So we're probably going to be using about a good cup of Parmesan cheese, a full cup. Okay. Let's see. And let's go ahead and check on our pasta. Okay, our pasta's ready. So we want to go ahead and get it off the stove. We want to get it out of the hot water, because if it's in the water, it's going to keep cooking. So I have a top that has its strings in it, so we're going to go do that real quick. Be right back. Okay, we're good now. So let's check on our sauce. I'm gonna turn that down. I'm gonna turn that on real low, because pretty much everything's done, believe it or not. Other than myself adding some cheese to this, I'm gonna add some cheese. Let me check on my salmon real quick. Okay, now I'm gonna put this salmon for 1 minute on broil. 1 minute. So that when I put it in here, it's golden. So let's add some cheese. Remember, we have about a cup and a half of cheese. cheese. And this is literally, when you want Alfredo sauce, this is what you can do. So even if you're not making the whole salmon dish and all that, but you want some pasta with some Alfredo sauce, this is what you're gonna do. This is your Alfredo sauce. It's perfect. Now we have our pasta in our Alfredo sauce, our homemade Alfredo sauce. And you see how creamy it is, how you have a lot of sauce here. So and I have it on low. We're gonna leave it on low for a little bit. And we're just gonna let that cook in there for about, we're gonna let this stay here for like 5 minutes, okay? And then we're going to add the cherry tomatoes, the spinach, and the salmon. And it will be done. So we'll be back here in 5 minutes. Put this top on here. Okay, we're all set. We got a nice simmer going. Look at that. See how it's absorbing some of that, all that extra liquid? Because it was al dente. The pasta had room to absorb the Alfredo sauce. So it's still gonna have time to cook. But now we're gonna add our tomatoes. And some spinach. Spinach cooks down really quick. I know if you know anything about spinach, it wilts really quickly. So it looks like a lot, but it won't be a lot in the end. So we're just gonna fold this in here. Turn this up here. Fold this in. Spend a minute doing that. Start looking so pretty. This is so good. Really good. So we got it nice and creamy. The pasta's still cooking. I'm gonna finish folding in all of the spinach and making sure it's all covered up and mixed in well. After I do that, we'll put the salmon on it, and I'll put the top back on it and let it finish up that way. It smells so good. Make sure your heat's not too high because you don't want it to, well, when heavy whipping cream, if you overcook it, it starts to get watery, believe it or not. So if you see your heavy whipping cream getting watery, you cooked it too long if it's not creamy anymore. So we're just going to turn it on low because everything's really done, but we're just letting it kind of solidify. We're letting it marry so that all the flavors and all the spinach is going to start looking wilted in a few minutes. It doesn't take long at all. Okay. I'm going to top with a little more garlic, a little more smoked paprika, just a little. Now let's get some salmon pieces on here. You don't have to put all your salmon on there, but if you want to, you can, of course. Let's get some salmon pieces on here.